Structural ambiguity. We come across sometimes certain sentences which may have more than one meaning. For example, flying planes can be dangerous. So, this sentence can be interpreted in two ways. That planes which are flying can be dangerous, and the other can be that flying of the plane can be dangerous. So, we come across this type of ambiguity so often. So, what is actually the phenomenon that makes the same sentence interpret in two different ways? For example, if we look at some more examples, Annie had an umbrella and she bumped into a man with it. So, Annie had an umbrella. We know that the umbrella was with Annie, right? And she bumped into a man with it. Well, obviously now we can say that it refers to umbrella which was with Annie. Annie bumped into a man and the man happened to be carrying an umbrella. Now, who was carrying the umbrella? It was the man, right? So, this sentence is different from the first sentence. So, these two different versions of events can actually be expressed in the same surface structure. Annie bumped into a man with an umbrella. So, if we look at this sentence at surface level, we may have confusion. Who was carrying the umbrella? But as you saw that in the previous two sentences, it was clear that in the first, it was Annie who was carrying the umbrella, and in the second, it was man who was carrying the umbrella. So, we'll have to give interpretation of this sentence, that this sentence actually refers to two different versions. If we say that who was carrying the umbrella, Annie or the man. This sentence provides an example of structural ambiguity. So we get confused who is actually the pronoun or the noun referring to. It has two distinct underlying interpretations that have been represented differently in deep structures. So as we have seen that when we look at their semantic aspect, so we find that actually they refers to two different deep structure sentences. So that's why they are two different sentences. As in the case of the first sentence that I just read before you, that flying planes can be difficult. So that sentence has two underlying structures as well. So phrases can also be structurally ambiguous. It's not the sentence that can be ambiguous. It can be a phrase as well. So let's look at an example. Small boys and girls. So when we come across such a phrase, we have two nouns and one adjective. So we are faced with the problem. Are we referring to the boys being small or girls also being small? Right? So this is an example of structural ambiguity. So small boys and small girl, it can be the meaning that both boys and girls are small, or it can be small boys and all girls. Only the boys are small, the girls are not small. So we come across such structural ambiguity not only at sentence level but also at phrase level. So our syntactic analysis will have to be capable of showing the structural distinction between these underlying representations. So when we are dealing with syntax and we are trying to explain different structures, whatever approach we adopt, our approach should be able to make a distinction between these structurally ambiguous sentences. so that we can easily understand that same structure refers to this deep structure sentence, and this semantic meaning refers to this deep structure sentence. So this is what actually the generative grammar help us in understanding the ambiguity found in our language or languages of the world.